I guess you don't know what kind of faith you have until it's tested. And I always felt that I had faith, but this definitely was a test of it. And, if God could have been in front of me, maybe he would have said, all right, you remember what you said?
Mm.
Let's see if you believe that, if you are going to keep true to your promise that these are my children and not yours.
Yeah.
And I mean, it could only be the Holy Spirit, that was there in the situation, because God said he sent the Holy Spirit to help us. And I think that was a reminder. And I thought, I like to keep my promises. So my response had to be what I promised, that I knew that he was in control and they were his. And so I just believed that he was going to handle it. And I knew that it was going to, however it turned out, I was going to glorify God.
Yeah.
Whatever, I didn't know what the story would be, but I knew that had to be my response. And I wanted to be responsible with whatever story he chose to give me and my family.
Christina Custodio joining us today here on the Meeting House on Faith Radio, the author of the book, When God Changed His Mind. And you have Isaiah now having suffered a severe brain hemorrhage. I assume, was he in a coma?
He was not. After the surgery, they had to put him in an induced coma for a certain time. Yes.
Yeah. What was the prognosis from the medical staff?
They didn't really know. When the doctor sat with us before surgery, he probably said in 3 or 4 different ways, he wanted us to understand that Isaiah could die. And he believed that he would.
Wow.
Because looking at the pictures of his brain and everything was starting to shut down. He did not think he would live. He said he would do the best he could, but he wanted us to understand what could happen. And so there was a point where I just said, are you required to continue telling me this? Because I got it.
Yeah.
I understand.
Okay,
now go fix him.
Yeah, that's enough.
Right.
Right. All right. So let's unveil now for our listeners. We kind of hinted at it. Things got better.
Yes.
Tell me the rest of the story, if you will, as far as Isaiah's recovery.
Okay. He came out of surgery and he was okay. Well, we weren't quite sure, but he lived. He survived the surgery, and each day he got a little bit better and a little bit better. In fact, much quicker than doctors and nurses thought he would. They'd said, and we didn't know if he would wake up and know us. We didn't know if he would be a vegetable, because there was a significant amount of blood in his brain, which I learned when that happens, part of the brain dies. It actually dies. And so his brain was going to have to recover and reroute things, but he could not walk or talk or smile. That was hard, actually,
for
him to be awake. And he was always a smiley kid. And I was very concerned about that. Would he smile again? Would he be Isaiah again? But each day God showed out, because we saw a little bit more and more of him. And it took him a while. He had to go through every kind of therapy. We were in the hospital for 44 days. I lived there with him, and my husband was home with the girls. And it was a miracle each day that he showed us something. We were able to see something more each day.
Yeah. And so now fast forward, this took place, what, about 5-6 years ago?
Yes, it was September 8th, 2015.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell me about how Isaiah is doing today.
Today, he is 19 years old, and he is a sophomore in college, and he is studying communications, and I believe that God has put that on his heart so that he can continue to tell his story.